What if the difference between the life you have and the life you want is just one tiny habit, repeated long enough to become who you are? Sounds dramatic, but think about it. We all dream in outcomes: more money, better health, stronger relationships, a calmer mind. But life doesn't give us outcomes. It gives us systems. And those systems are powered by discipline. But here's the plot twist. Discipline isn't something you're born with. You don't wake up one day magically wired to hit the gym, meditate, eat clean, and build a six-figure business before breakfast. Discipline is built, atomic habit by atomic habit, brick by brick. And that is where James Clear drops a bombshell inside Atomic Habits. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. Hold on to that for a second. Because this is the moment most people realize why their lives feel stuck. Not because they didn't want the goal badly enough, but because they didn't build the system that could actually get them there. If you've ever said, "I just need to be more motivated, then I'll change," this book politely laughs and says, "No, you won't. Motivation is a spark. Habits are the engine. And engines beat sparks every time." But here's where it gets real. We all know discipline matters. The question is, why is it so damn hard to build? Why do we say we want to wake up earlier, then smash the snooze button? Why do we want to eat healthier, then mysteriously end up with DoorDash on the way? Why do we buy planners and time-blocking templates, only to abandon them by Wednesday? It's not because we're lazy. It's not because we're weak. It's because our brains crave efficiency. We are wired for habits. Good ones, bad ones, all of them. And habits work in loops. Cue, craving, response, reward, trigger, desire, action, outcome. That loop is running in the background like silent software. It decides whether you reach for a book or reach for TikTok. It decides whether you cook dinner or order pizza. It decides whether you journal or doom scroll until 2 a.m. Most people never realize this. They think discipline is about willpower. But willpower is like a phone battery, unreliable and quick to drain. Habits are like power outlets. They never run out. And here's a thought nobody wants to admit. Every habit you have right now makes perfect sense for the person you currently are. That's not criticism. That's clarity. If you play video games every night, scroll social feeds at work, or skip workouts, there's a reward somewhere keeping that loop alive. Maybe it's comfort. Maybe it's escape. Maybe it's dopamine. Maybe it's identity. Which brings us to the most important idea in the entire book. The idea that separates temporary effort from lasting discipline. Identity. Most people try to change from the outside in. They set goals like, "I want to lose weight. I want to read more. I want to save money." But Clear flips it. Don't ask, "What do I want?" Ask, "Who do I want to become?" Because if you become someone who identifies as a reader, reading becomes normal. If you become someone who identifies as an athlete, training becomes automatic. If you become someone who identifies as a disciplined person, discipline stops feeling like a chore and starts feeling like alignment. This is the doorway into lasting discipline. Identity first change. Quick reality check. Winners and losers have the same goals. Every Olympian wants the gold medal. Every entrepreneur wants success. Every student wants good grades. Goals don't separate people. Systems do. Wait till you hear this. There's a famous story in the book about British cycling. For decades, they were embarrassingly average. Sponsors pulled out. Bike manufacturers refused to sell them equipment because they didn't want to be associated with failure. Then they hired a new performance director. And instead of trying to overhaul everything, he looked for tiny improvements, marginal gains. Improve the bike seats. Improve hand washing to reduce colds. Improve sleep by testing different pillows. Individually, nothing changed the world. Collectively, they became unstoppable. Within just a few years, gold medals, Tour de France titles, Olympic domination. The lesson? Discipline isn't built by heroic effort. It's built by tiny, boring, repeatable improvements. The kind nobody applauds at first, the kind nobody posts on Instagram, the kind that looks pointless until it compounds into something extraordinary. If you've ever felt frustrated because your progress was invisible, you're not alone. James Clear has a name for that moment, the plateau of latent potential. It's that awkward space where you're putting in effort but nothing seems to be changing. You're going to the gym but the scale isn't moving. You're saving money but the account still looks depressing. You're learning a skill but you still feel like a beginner. This is where most people quit, not because they can't succeed, but because they can't tolerate the silence before the breakthrough. Clear compares it to heating an ice cube. You raise the temperature from 25 degrees to 26, to 27, 28, 29, 30. The cube doesn't change, but at 32 degrees, melting, visible transformation. The truth is, you don't control when the melting happens. You only control the temperature. And that's where discipline becomes powerful. It's not about winning today. It's about moving toward 32 degrees. But here's where it gets even more interesting. If identity is the core of lasting discipline, then habits are the machinery that reinforces that identity. Clear gives us a framework, the 4 laws of behavior change. And this isn't motivational fluff. This is practical psychology disguised as self-help. Let's break it down, hero style, because in this story you are the protagonist trying to level up. Law 1. Make it obvious. Every habit starts with a cue. When something triggers the behavior, your brain goes into autopilot. Want to build a positive habit? Make the cue obvious, visible, hard to ignore. Want to read more? Put a book on your pillow. Want to drink more water? Keep a bottle on your desk. Want to work out? Pack the gym bag the night before. And here's where Clear hits you with a power tool. Implementation intentions. I will, behavior, at, time, in, location. Most people fail because their plans are vague. Work out more is vague. Run at 7 a.m. at the park is actionable. And then there's habit stacking. This is genius-level simplicity. Take something you already do and attach a habit you want. After I brew my coffee, I'll meditate for 1 minute. After I brush my teeth, I'll read a page. After I finish work, I'll journal for 2 minutes. You don't need motivation when the cue is hardwired into your routine. Funny side note, you've probably already been habit stacking, just with bad habits. After I sit on the couch, I open TikTok. After I get bored, I grab snacks. After I wake up, I scroll. Bad news? Those stacks are automatic. Good news? They can be rebuilt. Law 2. Make it attractive. This is where dopamine enters the chat. We do things that feel good, or things our brain predicts will feel good. Clear solution? Temptation bundling. Pair something you need to do with something you want to do. Listen to your favorite podcast while running. Watch a show only while folding laundry. Drink your favorite coffee only while reading. You turn discipline into something you actually crave. And here's a massive insight. Your social circle shapes your habits more than you think. If you hang around people who treat fitness like brushing their teeth, you'll start to normalize it. If you hang around people who treat ordering takeout as a sport, you'll normalize that too. We are tribal creatures pretending to be independent. Your habits reflect your tribe. Choose wisely. But here's where it gets real. Most people fail not because the habit is hard, but because the start is hard. If motivation is unreliable and willpower drains fast, then the trick is to make starting feel frictionless. Which brings us to Law 3. Make it easy. Discipline dies when something feels complicated. Remove steps, reduce friction, automate where possible. Here are examples Clear gives. Want to exercise? Lay out clothes the night before. Want to eat healthy? Chop ingredients in advance. Want to save money? Automate transfers so you never decide. Want to read? Carry a book so it becomes the default boredom filler. Then he drops the 2-minute rule. When you start a new habit, it should take less than 2 minutes. Read 1 page. Write 1 sentence. Stretch for 2 minutes. Because once you start, you usually continue. Action creates momentum. Motion just looks like momentum. Planning a habit is motion. Doing the habit is action. Your brain loves to confuse the two. One feels productive, the other actually is. Most people overestimate discipline and underestimate simplicity. We assume disciplined people are mythical beings who wake up at 4 a.m., train in the rain, eat leaves for breakfast, and smile through hardship. Nope. They just lower the barrier to entry. The less friction between you and the habit, the more likely you'll show up. And showing up, boring as it sounds, is the part that changes everything. Because here's the uncomfortable truth. Discipline isn't built by going hard. It's built by showing up consistently when no one's clapping. You don't need to sprint. You need to keep walking. But there's one more powerful angle here. If discipline were just about making things easy today, that would be helpful. But Clear goes deeper. He distinguishes between motion and action, a concept most people never spot in themselves. Planning your new workout routine? Motion. Researching diet strategies? Motion. Buying a $90 study planner? Definitely motion. Doing 15 minutes of exercise? Action. Cooking one healthy meal? Action. Reading 2 pages? Action. It's seductive to stay in motion because it feels productive while conveniently avoiding discomfort. Motion lets you feel smart without risking failure. Action makes you vulnerable to results. The disciplined person isn't the one who's always planning. It's the one who keeps acting. Law 4. Make it satisfying. When something feels good, you repeat it. When something feels neutral or punishing, you abandon it. This isn't just psychology. This is biology. Our brains are ancient. They reward behaviors that lead to good outcomes and avoid behaviors that feel pointless. So Clear's insight is simple. If you want a habit to stick, make the reward immediate. Not someday, not eventually, now. Here's the dilemma, though. Most good habits have a delayed reward. Workout to body changes later. Saving money to wealth later. Studying to skills later. Meanwhile, bad habits are the opposite. Smoking to dopamine now. Scrolling to dopamine now. Junk food to dopamine now. The modern world is a buffet of instant gratification, and evolution hasn't caught up. So to make discipline last, you must flip the script. You must add immediate satisfaction to long-term behaviors. This is where tools like habit tracking come in. Checking a box doesn't seem like much, until you realize it triggers the same reward circuits as finishing a level in a game. It's visual proof that you are becoming the type of person you want to be. Some people use paper trackers. Some use apps. Some use streaks. Clear doesn't care about the method. He cares about the feedback loop. Do the thing arrow, get rewarded arrow, repeat. It's not about being childish. It's about being realistic. Adults are just children with bigger calendars and more responsibilities. We still respond to prizes. We still respond to streaks. We still respond to wins. But here's something everyone overlooks. Discipline also thrives on accountability. Not punishment, accountability. When your actions are witnessed, they carry weight. That's why personal trainers work. Not because they know secret exercises, but because they turn "no one will notice" into "someone will notice." The human brain is wired for reputation. We want to be consistent with how others see us, or how we see ourselves. If you say, "I run," you don't want to skip runs. If you say, "I read,"
You don't want to abandon books. If you say, "I show up," not showing up becomes a contradiction. Identity protects the habit. The habit reinforces the identity. That feedback loop is the engine of discipline. And there's one final insight before the formula locks into place. Most people think discipline is about self-control. It's not. True discipline is about environment design. If your kitchen is full of cookies, you don't need more willpower. You need fewer cookies. If YouTube is a click away, you don't need more focus. You need fewer tabs. If your phone is buzzing, you don't need monk-level concentration. You need silent mode. Your environment is a silent negotiator. It can sabotage you or empower you. Clear puts it elegantly. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. And systems are invisible until they fail.